Everybody always asks me the same question. I'm 106 years old, and whenever people meet me, they say, "What's your secret? How did you live so long? How are you still so happy?" Most of them expect some special answer. They think I'm going to say olive oil or a glass of wine every day or long walks in the morning. And yes, I do those things. They help. But that's not the real secret. The real secret took me almost 100 years to understand. The secret is this: you choose. Every single day of your life, you choose. Joy is not something that simply happens to you. Joy is something you decide to create. Most people never realize this. They spend their whole lives waiting for happiness. They wait for the right job. They wait for the right partner. They wait for the right opportunity. They wait for the perfect moment. And sometimes they spend their entire life waiting. I didn't want to live that way. So at some point in my life, I decided that I would choose joy no matter what life brought me. And maybe that's why I'm still here today. Still laughing, still grateful for every new morning. But before you think my life was easy, let me tell you something about the road I walked. My mother died when I was 5 years old. She had tuberculosis. I still remember the sound of her coughing and the handkerchief she held to her mouth. Even though I was just a child, those memories stayed with me forever. A few years later, my father brought me to America in 1928. We had only $40 and we didn't speak a word of English. I was 8 years old. We lived in a small, crowded apartment in Bensonhurst. Sometimes 6 or 7 people slept in the same room. There were nights when we slept on the floor. When I turned 10, I started working with my father making shoes. We worked long hours, and many days my fingers were bleeding from the work. Life was not easy, but we kept going. Years later, I met the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. Her name was Anna Maria. She had black hair, bright green eyes, and a voice that sounded like music. When she laughed, the whole room felt warmer. We were married and we had 9 beautiful years together. 9 years. And then one afternoon in June of 1951, everything changed. Anna Maria went up to the roof to hang some laundry. Suddenly she collapsed from a brain aneurysm. She died instantly before anyone could help her. She was only 28 years old. I was 31 years old, standing there with 2 small children and no idea how to continue living. For months I was completely lost. Then, many years later, another disaster came. In 1978, the shop I had built with my own hands burned down. 26 years of work disappeared in one night. I stood on the sidewalk watching the fire and everything I had worked for turning into ashes. At that moment, I thought, Maybe this is where I give up. So when people talk to me about hard times, believe me, I understand them. But over the years, I learned something very important. Hard times don't have to make you hard. You get to decide what those experiences turn you into. After Anna Maria died, I was filled with anger. For months, I was the angriest man in Brooklyn. I shouted at customers, I argued with my family, I barely slept, and I barely ate. My children were afraid of me. Then one night, something happened that changed everything. My little daughter, Lucia, came to me crying. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and asked, "Papa, why are you always so angry? Did I do something wrong?" That question broke my heart. Here was this small child who had already lost her mother, and she believed my anger was somehow her fault. That night, I made a decision. I told myself, you can choose to stay angry or you can choose to be a father, but you cannot be both. Anna Maria had not married an angry man. She married someone who made her laugh. So I decided that my children would still see that man. I decided that even though I was grieving, I would still bring laughter into their lives. I was sad for many years, and that sadness never completely disappeared, but I refused to let sadness be the only thing my children saw. They were also going to see joy. They were going to see their father choose life. And that is something I want you to understand. Maybe right now you are going through something difficult. Maybe you lost someone you loved. Maybe life knocked you down in ways you never expected. I'm not going to tell you that it shouldn't hurt. Of course it hurts. You should feel that pain. But after the pain, there comes a moment when you must decide what happens next, because nobody else can make that choice for you. Years later, when I was already 70 years old, something surprising happened. I met a woman named Gloria. I had been alone for nearly 40 years at that point. One day I went to a church potluck dinner. To be honest, the only reason I went was because I heard they had good lasagna. But while I was there, I saw a woman across the room laughing with her friends. Her entire face lit up when she laughed. And in that moment I thought, that might be the most beautiful thing I have seen in 40 years. Her name was Gloria Washington. She was 62 years old, and she had spent her life working as a nurse. When I walked over to speak with her, people in the room actually stopped eating to watch us talk. An old Italian man and a black woman talking together in Brooklyn in 1990 was something many people were not used to seeing. The looks we received were unforgettable. Even my own son stopped speaking to me for 2 years after I married Gloria. He said I was disrespecting his mother's memory. He said the neighborhood was talking about us. But I told him something very simple. I said, "Enzo, I love you, but I spent 40 years alone. I'm 70 years old and I finally found someone who makes me laugh again. If the neighborhood doesn't like it, the neighborhood can go to hell. That was another lesson life taught me. At some point, you must stop living according to other people's opinions. Their opinions only hurt you if you decide to believe them. Gloria and I spent 33 wonderful years together. 33 years of laughter, simple moments, and quiet happiness. She passed away last year at the age of 95. She died peacefully in her sleep. I held her hand through the night. And yes, I miss her every single day. But I know something for certain. If Gloria were here today, she would be angry if I stopped laughing. She would tell me we had 33 beautiful years together. That is more than many people ever receive. So I keep laughing for her. People still ask me what makes me happy now, and the answer is very simple. A cup of coffee in the morning, the sunlight coming through the window, my great-granddaughter Sophia calling me every Sunday, the smell of fresh bread, listening to Italian music, a warm bed at night, even a stranger smiling at me on the street. That's it. That's the entire list. I don't need a mansion. I don't need a yacht. I don't need anything I already have. And here's the truth many people realize too late. I could have felt this same happiness when I was 30 or 40 or 50. But I was too busy chasing things that didn't matter. I was worrying about money, success, reputation, and all kinds of fears. The biggest lesson of my life is this: happiness is not waiting for you at the end of something. It's not waiting until you get the perfect job, the big house, or the money you want. Happiness already exists in the small moments around you, but you have to slow down and notice them. Most people walk past these moments every single day without seeing them. So tonight, I want you to do something simple. Sit quietly for a moment. Look around your life. Find 3 small things you're grateful for. Not big things, small things. The sound of someone you love laughing, the way your pet looks at you, the simple fact that you can breathe without thinking about it. Gratitude works like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. And if you practice gratitude every day, your life will begin to change. I'm 106 years old. I lost my mother when I was 5. I lost my first wife when I was 31. I lost my business when I was 58. And I lost Gloria last year. By all logic, I should be the saddest man in the world. But every morning I wake up and say one simple thing. Thank you, God, for one more day. Now what are we going to do with it? That is the secret, the whole secret. You choose joy. Not because life is easy. Life is not easy. And not because bad things never happen, bad things happen to everyone. You choose joy because the other option is misery. And misery wastes the time you still have. My mother once told me something when I was very young. She said, "Life is beautiful if you learn how to look at it the right way." I didn't understand those words when I was 5. I didn't understand them when I was 30 or even 70. But now